Jujutsu Kaisen. Chapter 270 is here. Gojo's dream finally came true, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by this. Next, we will get to know what happened to the culling games, and how they are replacing Tengen's barrier. Also, Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara depart on their final mission. Sit back, relax, and let's go through it all. The chapter's title is A Dream's End. At first, I assumed this relates to what Gojo said in chapter 236. When Gojo was at the airport with Gato and the others, his final words were, "Now I'm hoping this isn't a dream," and this made me doubt everything. At first, I thought everything we saw after chapter 236 was a dream, and maybe Gojo would wake up from his dream in the next chapter, but this would be too confusing and too good to be true. However, after doing some more research, I figured out the exact meaning of the title of this chapter, and it goes back to the start of the series. To be exact, we need to go back to chapter 11, where its title is A Dream. Gojo in this chapter explains his dream to Ichichi. This was at the start of the series when the higher-ups wanted to assassinate Yuji, so Gojo says, as they made it clear with Yuji, the higher-ups are the scum of the Jujutsu world. I'm gonna reset this crappy Jujutsu world. It would be easy to kill everyone who's in charge, but someone else would just take their place. Nothing would change. And it's not as if people approve of massacres anyway, so that's why I'm turning to education. I need strong and intelligent allies. I need to foster them. So, essentially, in this current chapter, we get to see the end of Gojo's dream, and you'll understand why as we go through it. Now, the chapter starts in the cemetery. Megumi and Choco are visiting Sumiki's grave. Megumi thanked Choco for taking care of his older sister's grave, and Choco replies that he doesn't need to worry about it. Even if all that's left is cremation, it's worth it to make them look nice. And she regrets the fact that she couldn't do the same to Geto's body. Next, we learn that the previously consumed Tengen was found among Sukuna's remains after he was torn from Fushiguro's body, and they're using these remains to hold Tengen's barriers around Japan. As long as the remains are preserved, the barrier will hold. Utahime says they should hurry and put into place contingencies and countermeasures. However, Gakuganji says, no need to be hasty, you're all still so young. So, this is how they're able to hold Tengen barriers, but it appears to be a temporary solution for now. Maybe someone will be born with similar abilities to Tengen and take his role. Because I don't know if you've noticed this in Jujutsu Kaisen, but some techniques only appear once per generation and don't appear again until the user dies. We see that we can only get one 10 Shadows technique user at a time. Plus, Kenjaku preferred to seal Gojo because if he kills him, another user would be born. So, maybe this is the case here, and another strong barrier user will be born soon. Anyway, after that we see Maki with Daido and Mio. She gives Daido a cursed katana, and she explains to them that now that the culling game has ended, there'll probably be talks about what to do with you incarnated types. Seeing as Megumi came back alive, they'll likely have Yuji and Hana remove the cursed objects from the victims' bodies. Plus, there are the players taken by the American military during all the chaos with the rule editions, so they will probably go get them back. So, they can't let them go, just because they are friendly. Miki helps these two by saying they should go and hide in Tokyo because the higher-ups went public saying cursed spirits are a Tokyo exclusive phenomenon, so that will be a safe zone for now. So, Meki is trying to help her friends as much as she can, and apparently the culling game is over. However, we don't get any explanation as to how, and in my opinion, this is just lazy writing. Kenjaku spent 1,000 years preparing for the culling game and ensuring their success, but they seem to end without any explanation. Next, we transition to Charles, and it looks like he is creating a manga inspired by the recent events. After that, we see Takaba preparing for his next show. The person he is preparing with looks like Kenjaku, but Gege is intentionally hiding their face. And this might be just Takaba's cursed technique in action. Takaba had a lot of fun fighting Kenjaku, and maybe he is using him to get inspiration for his next show. Next, we learn that Higuruma won't be prosecuted for what he did in the courtroom. This is likely from the higher-ups of the Jujutsu world, and he will work as a Jujutsu sorcerer from now on. So, this is the conclusion to Higuruma's character. Now, we transition to Megumi and Hana. Megumi says he wants to take responsibility for his actions and asks Hana to let him be her right hand from now on. However, Hana misunderstands Megumi and assumes he's proposing to her, and we get an awkward, funny interaction between the two of them. At the end of the chapter, we get to see Nobara, Yuji, and Megumi working together on a new mission. It looks like some curse user is harassing a cute couple, and we get this comment at the end. Next up, the final chapter, the gun fires for their last mission. So, it looks like Gakuganji is in charge now, which perfectly ties to what Gojo said in chapter 223. After killing the higher-ups, Gojo is visited by Gakuganji, and he admits to him that he was the one to kill Principal Yaga. However, Gojo doesn't kill him. He says, "You've changed, haven't you, Gramps? Maybe if you were at the head of HQ, things would be a bit better." On top of that, in this chapter, we essentially get to see Gojo's dream come true. Gakuganji is in charge now, and he raised a strong and very promising group of sorcerers. With that being said, I find it odd that we didn't get to see anything about Gojo. Maybe Geiji is intentionally saving this for the last chapter. Finally, there's a rumor that in the next chapter, we'll get an announcement of a new part of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I don't know what to think of this. On one hand, it would be odd for Jump to just let Jujutsu Kaisen finish without milking it to the end, but on the other hand, the final arc was rushed, and they could have milked it even more.